Now I'm going to take a guess and say that most of you watching this video have actually not bought a new car before. And even of the people who have, I have my doubts that you've bought a new or used car from a dealership. Now, I've bought a car from a dealership, but it was used. And I think I would only buy a used car from a dealership for a variety of reasons. For one, it's certified and it's inspected, so you know it's good there. You're also dealing with people who sell cars every day versus somebody on Facebook who's selling it on the side and coordinating, like getting the car inspected, having you come out and see it, test drive. That would all, I think, would be a nightmare for them, and they would get frustrated very quickly and be unwilling to deal with you. So there's that advantage too. But the dealership also has a reputation to maintain. And I think that's something that you have to consider because they're not going to put junk on their lot. And as a matter of fact, most dealerships take trade-ins directly to the auction block. They don't even put them on their lot because that's how much they value their reputation and their image. However, I don't see similar benefits of a dealership for purchasing a new car. And that's where I think Tesla has an advantage in this direct-to-consumer model. Now, with that being said, I still think that consumers, at least some consumers, still prefer the dealership experience, but not for the reasons that you're thinking of. But most recently, though, for Tesla, they've fought for decades trying to get into these markets, try to get past the direct-to-consumer sale bans, get past the dealership protections, and their new approach is now opening showrooms on tribal land. Most recently, they've opened a showroom in a casino just outside Sante Fe, and this past week, Tesla has announced they're going to open a showroom on tribal land in Connecticut. And this comes after an announcement in June that they're going to open a 25,000 square foot showroom on tribal land in Syracuse, New York. While I think this approach is great for Tesla, I think this really has more benefits to the other automakers who haven't been given the exceptions that Tesla's been given in these direct-to-consumer hybrid markets. Like Rivian, Lucid, pick your favorite EV startup. Tesla still has a lot of benefits that were given only to them. Now, I am interested to hear more about what these showrooms or repair centers, I'm not sure actually what they're going to be, actually offer. Because I believe while Tesla has understood there's a benefit in this direct-to-consumer model, I think they realize that there's still benefits of traditional dealerships that they still need to include going forward in their sales. And I'm going to break that down into a couple categories. The first one being that Tesla is still comparatively rare to most of the automakers, so being able to sit in a Tesla, understand the vehicle options, be able to test drive, all those things I still think are necessary for Tesla to continue to convert non-EV buyers into EV buyers. I think I read a stat the other day that's 93% of the auto market is still regular gasoline cars. So obviously they still have a lot of ground to make up there. A lot of optimistic projections, but still have to make up a lot of ground. But to keep it short and sweet, you still have to have a showroom like a traditional dealership would have. The other biggest aspect, I think, of traditional dealerships that Tesla needs to consider going forward is warranty repairs. Now, I know Tesla's done a lot with the mobile repairs. You schedule someone to come to your car at your house, apartment, wherever, they fix what's wrong with your car. Now, that's great, but it's limited. They can only do so much. And obviously, you have scheduling issues. There's only so many repair people for a given area. So you may have to schedule what you think is a basic repair weeks or months out. And I think customers prefer a physical place they can take their car to actually get it fixed and not worry so much about the scheduling challenges and be able to talk to someone directly who's going to work on their car. Now, to me, the much bigger deal, just because this is the kind of stuff that I worry about, is parts distribution. Traditional dealerships are authorized distributors of OEM parts. However, most of the parts are also available much cheaper from third parties. Tesla does not have this option for their customers. As a matter of fact, most of their parts are proprietary and are much more expensive. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that yes, a Tesla over the course of time will be cheaper to operate and to maintain than a gas car, but it's not going to be by a lot, especially while Tesla maintains this proprietary parts distribution model, which I don't like. Now, the only time that I've been to a traditional dealership for new cars was to actually buy parts for my truck. I was able to walk in and the guy showed me a blown up picture of my truck and I selected the parts I needed, and most of them were actually in stock at their warehouse because most dealerships are these huge places with lots of parking space for new cars, but also warehouse space to house parts. And I drove home with them same day versus Tesla, if they were to ship parts out to either customers, which I don't believe they do, correct me if I'm wrong, or ship them out to these individual licensed repair people, I mean, you're still talking about shipping out hoods, fenders, windows, things that are large and expensive to ship. It's much cheaper for a traditional dealership to say, hey, automaker, send me a truck with these parts on it, versus having to UPS each individual large part. And one of the other issues I have with Tesla and their lack of physical places where you can actually get your car repaired is that they're extremely limited. Indiana, a place with 6 million people, has one Tesla-owned and operated service center in the entire state, meaning that people who live in the corners of the state are having to drive 3 or 4 hours to get to Indianapolis to fix something that you and I might consider to be a pretty simple fix. Sounds like a nightmare to me. Now, let's say in a perfect world that Tesla starts offering all these services at their new centers that they're going to open on tribal land and the ones they've opened already. I mean, isn't that technically a car dealership? Yes, in the sense that they're offering services a car dealership would offer, but no in the sense that dealerships are traditionally separate from the automaker. Automakers don't own dealerships. There's a degree of separation. So Tesla has not been able to get licenses to open dealerships for that exact reason. Now, going forward, I think both ideas still persist. I think there's still benefits of traditional auto dealerships, but I also think a lot of people like the direct-to-consumer model, the fact that I can order a car online and have it shipped directly to my house. But I think the other automakers are going to have to start offering that. Either the dealership ships it to your house or whatnot. I mean, there's 1,000 ways that can be done. And I also think that as this sort of develops, this hybrid idea or model develops, that you and I are really not going to be able to tell the difference between a regular dealership and a Tesla showroom, a Tesla service center, whatever you want to call it. I think the consumer experience is going to be basically the same. Now, where I do kind of like get my mind wrapped a little bit is that if Tesla's selling direct to consumer, they don't have to allow for the markup that a traditional automaker would have to allow, because the dealership's got to make money too, right? So these automakers with these new EVs and all the cars they're putting out, they have to be able to match Tesla on price, but I'm just not sure how they're going to be able to do that. I think Tesla's always going to have the price advantage, so I'm not really sure how that gets reconciled going forward. For now, I think a lot of what's going to happen over the next couple years is really going to be more about getting the other EV startups on equal footing with Tesla in terms of the exemptions that were made, like I said, in this direct-to-consumer market. And I expect a lot of them will follow Tesla in opening a lot of what I call casino showrooms going forward. But over the next 10 to 20 years, I just don't see how states can continue to justify banning direct-to-consumer sales. And even more than that, I mean, what shocks me the most is that since Tesla's arisen, a lot of states like Mississippi have passed more protections for dealerships. And that to me doesn't make any sense. But I mean, until they're going to get axed, which at some point I think they will, more and more of these loophole ideas that Tesla's come up with are going to persist. And ultimately, I think the consumers are to benefit, and I think they're the ones that are going to continue to drive where this goes. So I hope that was an interesting and elaborate video on this topic, and if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.